Good afternoon, friends. First of all, I welcome you all in this today's webinar on Legacy Dispute Resolution Scheme 2019. सबका विश्वास मोदी सरकार की बहुत अच्छी एक स्कीम है इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेशन के डिस्प्यूट रिजोल्यूशन के लिए और बहुत अच्छा इसका रिस्पॉन्स भी है। और आज हमारे साथ हैं सीए आर के भल्ला जी, a very prominent and senior chartered accountant. He has already written various books on indirect taxation, service tax, GST, and many more. So I request CA R.K. Bhalla ji to please start this deliberation on this topic and please share his views, because he is also writing his own book on this topic. So it will be a very fruitful discussion with all of you, with our CRK Bhallaji, because he has depth knowledge of this subject. So CRK Bhallaji, please.
मेरी भी आ जाए और उसमें लगा देना, लिखा हुआ मेरा आ जाए। Thank you, Raj Chawla ji. I'm much obliged that you have provided me the opportunity to be in touch with the professional colleagues and my friends. Good afternoon to you, everybody. Today's we are deliberating on the subject सबका विश्वास लेगेसी डिस्प्यूट रेजोल्यूशन स्कीम 2019। ये कान में वो आ रही है, जरा मेरे को आवाज आती है ना, इसको यहाँ लगा लेते। पहले क्या थी, यहाँ लगा, देखो आवाज बाहर आ रही है। हेलो फ्रेंड्स, सॉरी फॉर द इंटरप्शन। गवर्नमेंट कैन नॉट रन without the revenues, as human body cannot run without blood. So in a similar manner, revenue is the source of the government to run the country, and it is a highly concern at the moment that lot of litigation and pending disputes are pending, in which crores of rupees of revenue involved of the government. And government needs that we should expedite this disputed questions, appeals, pending dispute with the department or of the assessee, so that both can be benefited on account of this scheme. This is nothing new. Earlier also, the schemes were there. Just I would show the Kar Vivad Samadhan scheme came in 1998. And then service tax voluntary compliance encouragement scheme was also came 2013. So in this point, after a long time, the government thought proper that since we have entered into the regime of the GST and almost 17 taxes of indirect taxes have been subsumed in the GST, therefore the cases pending under those regime which has been subsumed in the GST, that should be sought out as early as possible. Therefore, our finance minister presented this budget and announced this scheme, which has been notified also, and it is effective from 1st of September 2019 to 31st December 2019. But my view is that if the government gets positive response on this scheme, so I'm sure that this scheme is likely to be extended up to 31st March 2020. Why this scheme has come? The finance minister said that there is a need to unload this baggage and allow business to move on. Then they say, I therefore propose legacy dispute resolution scheme that will allow quick closure of those litigations. I would urge the trade and business to avail this opportunity and be free from legacy litigations. According to the budget documents, the proposed scheme covers past dispute of taxes and which have got subsumed in GST, which I told you earlier, These include central excise, service tax, and cess. Now we should understand this scheme covers only the litigations which are related to indirect taxes, specifically central excise, service tax, and other cesses. This scheme is not applicable to rest of other act and dues. Now, this scheme has 16 sections and 9 rules, 120 to 135 sections, and section 120 speaks about the definition of this scheme, which is called Sabka Vishwas Legislative Dispute Resolution Scheme 2019. Then section 121 of the Act that specifies certain definitions which have been put in the scheme different places, and section 122, this is very important. This scheme section tells the provision of section 122 of the Act. They say the scheme shall be applicable to the following enactment only. Number one, we should know what is covered under this scheme, which kind of taxes and laws covered under this scheme. Number one, the Central Excise Act 1994 or the Central Excise Tariff Act 1985 or Chapter 5 of the Finance Act 1994, which you remember that is regarding to the service tax and the rules made there under. All cases relating to these acts are covered under this scheme. And further, the cesses which are covered, the Agriculture Produce Cess 1940, the Coffee Act 1942, the Mica Mines Labor Welfare Fund Act 1946, the Rubber Act 1947, the Salt Cess Tax, the medicine, the additional duties of excise, the mineral products, sugars, textiles, the produce cess tax, coal mines, oil industry, tobacco cess, iron oils, the BD worker welfare cess, the additional duties of excise, textile and textile articles, the sugar cess, spice cess, and the Finance Act 2004, Finance Act 2007, Finance Act 2015, and Finance Act 2016. All the cases covered under these act and cess are covered under this scheme. Now, after knowing that under which act these schemes are covered, then question comes our mind, what kind of tax dues are covered? What kind of tax dues are covered, and who are the person who can apply this scheme? That is more important. Who are the persons who can apply under these schemes? Section 125, subsection 1, state that all persons. When it says all persons, then we have to see what is the meaning of the persons. The meaning of the persons have been given in the definition, section 121, small q, that says the person includes individual, an HUF family, company, society, a limited liability partnership, a firm, association of person or body of individuals, whether incorporated or not, the government, the local authority, and a cessee as defined under Rule 2 of the Central Excise Rule 2002, and every artificial judicial person which is not covered in any of the preceding cases. Now, friends, we should show these are the persons, these are the cessees who are covered under these schemes. So, section 121, clause Q is important to know who can apply, who are the persons who are eligible for that. And further, they said who can make this declaration. Section 125 sub clause 1 that states that all persons shall be eligible to make a declaration under this scheme except the following: who have filed an appeal before the appellate forum and such appeal has been heard finally on or before 30th June 2019. one cut-off date we should keep in mind, that is 30th June 2019. All cases pending before that date and final hearing in that respect of cases had not taken place. Therefore, Section 125 subclause 1 says the person shall be eligible to make a declaration under the scheme except the following. The following person which I am explaining now are debarred from filing this declaration. So first we see about the scheme, then we come that these are the person who are the person who are eligible to file the claim, and we explain that the taxes which are covered and says now we are discussing the persons who are not eligible to file that declaration. Number one, who have filed an appeal before the appellate form and such appeal has been heard finally. Appeal has been heard finally on or before 30th June 2019. But my dear friends, there may be certain cases where appeal has been heard but no order has been passed. Or appeal has been heard and the appellate tribunal member has been transferred without passing in an order. If this is a situation, then another person will come and issue a fresh notice for hearing the case. Then it is held that this matter has not taken finally. Although appeal has been heard, but order has not been passed due to the reason that he has been transferred or file has been transferred for further action. Otherwise, all the appeals where final hearing has been taken place on or before 2019 is a debar. Another persons who cannot file the declaration, another category, who have been convicted for any offence which is punishable under any provision of the indirect taxes enactment for the matter for which he intends to file a declaration. If any SSC or a person who have been convicted for any offence which is punishable under the provision of the indirect tax enactment, he cannot file the declaration in respect of that matter. Third category, who has been issued a show cause notice. Another category of the persons who has been issued a show cause notice under indirect tax enactment and finally he has taken place on or before 30th June 2019. Next, there are certain cases where the SSC has received SCN, show cause notice, under the indirect tax enactment, where he has claimed an anniversary refund or a refund he has claimed for which he was not entitled to. If department has taken note of it and department issue a show cause notice to the SSC to that fact, that cases are not covered. Another cases of the SSCs who are subject to any inquiry or investigation or audit and the amount of duty involved in the said inquiry or investigation or audit has not been quantified on or before 30th June 2019. If department has taken any inquiry, investigation or conducted an audit of the SSC and the amount of the duty involved in the said inquiry investigation has not been quantified on or before 30th June 2009. Then a person, although they are covered, we can make a voluntary disclosure also. And I say that this scheme should be a amnesty and Sabka Vishwas scheme. Amnesty, I'm saying, is this time because they have allowed us to file a voluntary disclosure also. But a person making a voluntary disclosure after being subject to any inquiry or investigation or audit, having filed a return under the indirect tax enactment, wherein he has indicated an amount of duty as payable, but he has not paid it, that persons are also not covered. Further, you will find certain circumstances and cases where the SSC has gone for settlement of the dues with the settlement commissioner. If any application has been filed in the settlement commission for settlement of the case by the SHC, those cases are not covered under this scheme. Another category which is debarred is person seeking to make declarations with respect to excisable goods which have been set forth in fourth schedule of the Central Excise Act 1994. There is a complete list of the goods which has been specified in fourth schedule of the Central Excise Act. They have given tariff item wise. The HCN code number is 2401. This is a long list which has been given, and code number is 2709. So these categories are also not covered under this code, which are covered under fourth schedule to the Central Excise Act 1994. These are the persons who cannot make the declaration under this scheme. Now question comes, if we make a declaration under this scheme, then what will be the amount of tax due or amount of duty? Amount of duty, it has been explained in section 121 small clause D. They say amount of duty means central excise, service tax and cess. All tax due under these categories is the amount of duty is there. Now we have to calculate what is the tax due. Tax due has been defined under section 123. Under section 123 says the tax dues, because tax dues is important only through the reason that whatever relief we are getting under this scheme, under section 124, that is subject to the tax due. So therefore, we should know what is the tax due under the scheme. So section answer is under section 123 of the Act. That's why when there is a single appeal is pending as on 30th June 2019 before the appellate authority, the total amount of duty which is due and disputed in the appeal. And if there are more than one appeals pending with the department, the amount of duty which is being disputed by the declarant as well as by the department appeal. We can understand in this example, suppose SCN was issued for rupees 1000 tax and penalty of 100 rupees. This SCN was issued, and after issue the SCN, order was also passed for tax 1000 and duty and penalty is 100. So tax due according to the section is 1000 and penalty is 100. Now, where SCN issued for 1000, for penalty 100, and order is made for tax is 900 and penalty for 90 rupees. Then this tax due will be 900. If SCN issue 1000 rupees, penalty of 100 rupees, and the order was passed for less than amount and the assessee has gone in appeal, then the tax due will be the amount involved in this appeal. Further, there may be cases where assessee has gone in appeal, but the department has also gone in appeal. Then the amount of tax due in this scheme will be the amount of the tax disputed by the applicant plus the appeal filed by the department for the tax. That will be the tax due in this scheme. Further, the cases may be cases where a SASI filed an appeal for the disputed amount of 1,000 rupees and first appellate authority has given relief to the SASI for 100 rupees and amount remains 900 rupees. The SASI further move to the second appellate authority. Then this tax due will be 900, which has been disputed at the level of second authority. So therefore, tax due has to be ascertained. The reason being, Section 124 say the relief. So relief will be calculated in respect of tax dues. Therefore, Section 123 explain about the tax dues. Now, before filing the declaration, we should know how much relief to the declarant will be available. Section 124 speaks about the relief under the scheme. That speaks if show cause notice and appeals are pending as on 30th June 2019, then if amount involved is 50 lakhs or less than 50 lakhs, then the relief available under this scheme is 70% of the tax due. It is a very big relief. And in case the amount of dispute is more than 50 lakhs, then 50% of the tax due is a relief to the SSC. And where SCN issued only with respect to late fee, penalty or tax, and where tax amount is due has been paid, then full relief in respect of the late fee penalty is allowed if tax due is nil or has been paid by the amount relating to the areas of tax, area of tax amount which has been indicated in the return but not paid by the SSC. Then if amount is 50 lakh or less than 50 lakh, then 60% of the tax dues relief is there. If amount is more than 50 lakhs, then it is 40% of it. If there is any inquiry, investigation, audit and is there and amount has been quantified by them, then the same is relief is there, amount is 50 lakh or less, then 70% of the tax due. If amount is more than 50 lakhs, then it's a 50% of tax due. But it is very important to note, because this scheme, Sabka Vishwas, Legislative Dispute Resolution Scheme 2019, implied amnesty also, because this scheme give a privilege and opportunity to the SSC to voluntarily declare the amount due. In case of voluntary disclosure by the declarant, there is no tax relief of the amount, but they are giving the relief in respect of the interest and penalty, which is also very huge amount if arrears are pending for a long time. So we have come to know about the tax dues, then what is the relief available to the SSC. And I'm of the view that since appeals are pending and litigations are going on with the department, it always take a long time, many years to come. And most important is that nobody knows what the outcome of this liability. Therefore, it is a wise decision by the government also, the wise decision by the government also, that we should settle out the pending dispute with the SSC, where both will be benefited. SSC will get the relief, which is very considerable amount and percentage, and government will get the revenue, which are unnecessarily blocked for a considerable time at a different stage. At a different stage. Now, in this scheme, when we file the declaration, all the appeals pending before the commissioner or before the appellate authority, except the High Court and Supreme Court, those all appeals after filing this declaration and accepted by the designated committee, all appeals deemed to have been withdrawn and settled. No further action will be taken except where appeals are pending in the different high courts or the Supreme Court. Then the declarated, the person who is filing the declaration, give a declaration that he will withdraw those writ petitions or appeals pending before the High Court or the Supreme Court. Now withdraw those appeals and you will get the benefit under this. Otherwise, all appeals at appellate tribunal will be deemed to be settled and withdrawn. After discharge certificate under this scheme will be issued. Now, our question comes in our mind, what kind of declaration we have to file and how it has to be filed. Under the scheme, again I tell you, when we go step by step, first we should see that whatever tax and interest and penalties are dues, those are covered under this enactment, central excise, service tax and cess. First of all, you ascertain this thing. When your tax dues, arrears and disputed demands are covered under these specified acts, only those demands will be covered under this scheme, number one. Number two, all the cases which are pending as on 30th June 2019, they are covered under this scheme. And this scheme debars certain persons which I have explained. These persons cannot file declaration under this scheme. Now we reach to the stage how to make a declaration. Tax due we know, relief we know, but the relief we'll get. Now next steps come, filing out declaration. How to make a declaration under this scheme. Section 125 subclause 2 of that said that the declaration under subsection 1 of section 125 shall be made in such electronic form as may be prescribed. As all systems are online now, so declaration under this scheme shall be such electronic form. The word is such electronic form as may be prescribed. Now that form has been prescribed. That form has been prescribed under Rule 3. Rule 3 of the Sabka Vishwas Legislative Dispute Resolution Scheme 2019 prescribes the term of declaration to be submitted. That is to be filed under SVLBRS 1. Again, I repeat, that is to be filed in form number SVLBRS 1 by the declarant electronically on the side of the cbic.gst.gov government.in. I repeat, cbic.gst.gov .gst.government.in. If you click this site, you will find the form on this site SVLDRS1. This form has to be filed on or before 31st December 2009, unless scheme is extended. Now, when we discuss in respect of the case, in respect of each case, separate declaration shall be filed. You cannot combine two appeals in one declaration. Separate declaration for each case has to be filed. Then rule 3 में definition explanations है, rule 3 का explanation है, that says what is the meaning of case. It's like the purpose of this rule, case means a show cause notice or one or more appeal arising out of this show cause notice, which is pending as on 30th June 2019, or an amount in arrears, or an inquiry or investigation or audit where the amount is quantified on or before 30th June 2019, or next is voluntary disclosure. So these are the cases in respect of which declaration has to be filed, and be sure when filing a declaration that it is filed very clearly stating the each case. And more important point to know, if there are cases pending more than one, so declarant cannot choose. He can file a declaration for one case and not filing for the declaration for the other case. He has to file the declaration for all the cases. It is important to note. If there are 4 appeals are pending and Session feels in 2 of the appeals I will 100% get him to win as per the law, and I don't file any declaration for 2 appeals, but rest of 2 appeals where he had doubt to get the relief, he filed for the declaration for the rest of 2. No, you have to file the declaration for all the cases in respect of show cause notice pending or any appeal is pending with them. Now, when we have filed this appeal declaration in form STL1, then what the department will do when we filed this form 1 or electronically online, stating all the particulars in this, that shall be verified. Your all particulars which you have declared in the declaration, the government has specified designated committee. That designated committee will verify the contents of the declaration you have made in this form. This the provision has been stated under section 126 of the Act. They say on receipt of the declaration from the assessee, the designated committee shall verify the correctness of the declaration made by the declarant under section 125 in such a manner as may be prescribed. Since, my dear friends, cases of voluntary disclosures are also covered, to my mind, the name of this scheme should have been better: Amnesty and Sabka Vishwas Dispute Resolution Scheme, since voluntary disclosures are also covered, which have nothing to do with any dispute with the department. Under voluntary disclosure, what dispute one can have with the department? The designated committee will verify your form. In the form, they will verify the correctness of the information which you have declared. Further, they say no verification will be made in case of voluntary disclosure. This way. The composition and functioning of this designated committee shall be such as may be prescribed. Up now, there may be two circumstances. Number one, where declaration has been filed and amount has been mentioned by the declarant in respect of the disputed amount or amount of duty, then this designated committee will go for correctness to the amount which he has shown amount payable by the person in declaration. If this amount payable shown by the declarant in this declaration is the same amount which is being estimated by the designated committee, thereafter the person making a declaration is required to deposit the amount payable within 60 days of the scheme provision. We file the declaration, we have shown the amount which is payable according to you in that declaration. Designated authority verify that amount, correctness of that amount, then the designation committee came to the conclusion the amount declarant shown is correct and the same amount which designate committee verify that it should be payable from the person, then declarant has to pay within 60 days from the date of receipt of the declaration issued by the designated committee in electronic form. There may be certain cases where the person declared the amount estimated by him, but where the amount estimated by designated committee exceeds the amount declared by the applicant, then it has to be deposited within 30 days of the date of issue of estimate amount in electronic form. It may be Sanchez. I say amount is due to according to me is 1,000, and estimated designated committee says, no sir, amount is payable by you 1,500. If the declarant agrees to that amount, then it pay within 30 days of the date of issue of estimated amount in electronic form. But there is a provision under section 127 subclause 3. Principle of natural justice cannot be violated under any statute of the act. Declarant says, according to me, it is 1,000. But designated committee says, no sir, it is 1,500. Then section 127 subclause 3 says the designated committee shall give an opportunity of being heard to the declarant before sending a estimate made by them under section 127 subclause 2. Now you kindly, my dear friends, see what happened in appeal matters or proceedings, adjournment after adjournment. Then litigation gets delayed. The legislators are competent, having wisdom, and expertise the disposal of these appeals. They have make a restrictions on the adjournment of it. It is not so. The principle of natural justice, the declarant may linger on this proceeding and by taking an adjournment. Section 127, subclause 3, that says if declarant shows a sufficient cause, then only one adjournment will be granted. Because the department desires the disposal of the declaration within a specific period of time. I have experience, you might have experience, when this scheme of service tax voluntary compliance and encouragement scheme came, many times the declarations are there, they have not been disposed of. In many cases, no opportunity was provided. Therefore, this statute prescribed under section 127(3) one adjournment. And I think it is beneficial both for the government and the assessee. Assessee also wants to get rid of all these pending disposals. Because you see, today we are under the regime of GST, wherein 17 different taxes were subsumed in one basket of GST. Now, at Familiar, we are doing practicing GST. Suddenly, the matter relating to service tax, central excise act, long back years of say 5 years, 10 years is coming up, then we have to go again under the old provision of the state. A government is worried. 3.75 lakh crore rupees approximately is involved in pending this issue. If it is going to linger on, assessee in disadvantage, because tomorrow if appeal goes against him, then amount of interest which is increasing day by day will be high. And under this scheme, not only 100% waiver of interest and penalty, but 70% of the tax due is also very clear. So it is in the interest of both assessee as well as the department that as early as possible, these declarations should be disposed of and matter should be settled with the department and the assessee. And also there is a provision under this scheme, once your declaration has been accepted and discharge certificate has been issued, then the matter involves under these appeals are settled forever and they are not be the cause for reopening of your other matters under any law. This is also a big advantage to the assessee. Whatever declaration is being made, on the basis of these declaration under this scheme, no other matter will be reopened. Now, after giving one adjournment, the matter will be decided on merits, and what amount is become due payable from the declarant, that will be informed, and this should be issued within a period of 60 days from the date of receipt of declarant. You see the time bound. Within a period of 60 days, your all this appeal will settle. Then they said this amount which the designated authority committee informed to the declarant within a period of 60 days time, that amount should also be paid electronically through internet banking within a period of 30 days from the date of issue of this statement. अब देखिएगा, why they say each and every word has a meaning and legislator has an intention by incorporating that word in the statute. They say the amount should be paid electronically through internet banking. It means this amount cannot be paid through input tax credit. Please note. This amount cannot be paid through input tax account. Or another important thing is the amount paid under this scheme shall not be refunded. So one should be very careful. As you know, under the GST Act, when we pay the tax wrongly, treating the local sale as a central sale, where tax is payable IGST and we paid state tax and central tax on this transaction of supply, whereas it should have been paid IGST on this supply. Then we can't make any adjustment. Again, we have to pay IGST for this supply and take a refund separately under the IGST Act. Similarly, they say the amount paid under this scheme shall not be refunded. Further, as a point to be noted, the amount paid cannot be taken as input tax credit or entitle any person to take input tax credit as a recipient. No credit as an input tax credit will be allowed of the amount paid under this scheme. Now, my dear friends, there may be certain cases where appeal is pending before the tribunal or the commissioner of the tribunal. And when we moved an appeal, there was condition of pre-deposit of 10%, or as the appellate authority directed the assessee to deposit the amount. There are certain cases and fields where the assessee has already paid as pre-deposit at the time of filing the appeal or taking the stay. They say that amount of pre-deposit will be considered and the declarant has a right to adjust that amount of pre-deposit at the time of stay on the appeal against the amount of duty payable under this scheme. But how the government has a wisdom, but they say there may be cases where amount of duty payable under this scheme comes 1,000 rupees, for example. And at the time of getting the stay, pre-deposit is 2,000 rupees. Then a scheme says you can adjust this 1,000 rupees against your pre-deposit of 2,000 rupees. But you are not entitled for the refund of 1,000 rupees, which is remain. You will not get any refund on this. Okay. Now, section 127, clause 6 says, where the declarant has filed an appeal or reference or appeal to show cause notice against any order or notice giving rise to the tax dues before appellate form, which I told you earlier, appellate form other than Supreme Court or the High Court, then notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of any law for the time being forth, such appeal or reference or reply shall be deemed to have been withdrawn. There is no need by the declarant to go to the tribunal and file application withdrawal of all these pending appeals. Appellate tribunal, I'm saying. Those will be deemed to have been withdrawn once this declaration is made and accepted. Similarly, in case of writ petition or appeal or reference filed by the assessee is pending before the High Court or the Supreme Court against any order in respect of the tax dues, then the declarant or the assessee has to move to the High Court or the Supreme Court for withdrawal of this appeals by filing an application, and the proof of withdrawing these appeal by filing this application has to be filed with the designated committee. Before up to tribunal, there is no need to withdrawal. They are deemed to be withdrawn, but High Court and Supreme Court, you have to withdraw it. This is provided on section 120. We can say this is a precondition for availing the benefit of this scheme. Now further we go. There may be cases where designated committee finds that there is a mistake in the order. This is not a mistake of opinion. This is not a mistake in respect of the legal issue. This is a mistake in respect of arithmetical error or some clerical error. Arithmetical error or clerical error are those which on the face of the order, it is apparent where you find 2 and 2 is 4 and they say 2 and 2 is 5. This is a mistake which is apparent on the record, and we can say it is the face of the record. If this type of mistake or in respect of amount of duty payable, giving the relief into a certain percentage, you will find the amount is not correct. It needs to be rectified. Then there is a provision under section 128 of the Act, which specify that designated committee have a power to rectify its order only in respect of the error, not in respect of their opinion and anything else. And they can be rectified, pointed out either by the declarant or by suo motu or the designated committee. But this also limits the time. This rectification of error has to be rectified within a period of 30 days from the date of issue of statement with the amount payable is mentioned. When the designated authority issue a statement giving their finding that so much amount is due and payable by the declarant pointed out, but within a period of 30 days. Why, my dear friend, why you see the limitation 30 days, 60 days are there? Because this scheme is applicable from 1st September to 31st December. And the government is interested that all these issues must be sorted out before 31st December 2019. Therefore, under various provisions of the Act, they are specifying the time limit, 30 days, 60 days. It is good for both the SECI and this thing. Section 130, I'm sorry, 128 section first, then section comes 129. 129, because there are total section from 120 to 135. 129 section that says issue of certificate to the declarant. That issue of certificates to the declarant is the conclusive proof that their amount in different appeals and disputed amount has been settled and their case has been closed on, which are pending under the different scheme. When this discharge certificate is issued, then declarant will not be able to pay any further duty, interest or penalty with respect to the matter which was subject matter of this declaration. Further, the declarant person, if any prosecution is pending against him, that should be withdrawn, and the declarant shall not be prosecuted under the indirect tax ceremony with the matter covered under this scheme. No prosecution will be taken up in respect of the matter where this certificate has been issued. This is a very big relief. Now, after section 129, section 130 comes, which place restrictions, of the scheme, which I explained earlier. Section 130, subsection clause 1, that says any amount paid under this scheme, I'm repeating this, you can note down, any amount paid under this scheme shall not be paid through input tax credit account under the indirect tax enactment or any other act. It means the government wants a cash. Further, amount in case due to any mistake or wrongly declarants or assessee pay the amount, they say amount paid under this scheme shall not be refundable under any circumstances. Further, they say the credit of this amount paid will not be taken up by the recipient. Now, section 131, removal of doubts, or 132 is regarding power to make rules, and 133 is the power to issue orders and instructions. 134 is relating to removal of difficulties, and 135 section provides the protection. It is very simple. If any chassis make a mistake, that is liable for prosecution and other penal provision. They say under section 135 that if any officers commits any mistake which he had done or any act in good faith, no suit, prosecution or action taken against him. And further, here also they limit the dimension. No action may be taken after the expiry of 3 months of passing the orders. Okay, my dear friends, I explained you the sections. Now I explain you the advantage of this scheme. What kinds of advantage of the schemes are? The advantage under the schemes are: number one, total waiver of late fee, interest and penalty. Number two, case pending in execution or appeal, a relief of, I'm summarizing this thing, the relief of 70% for duty demand if it is 50 lakh or less, and 50% if it is more than 50 lakh. In case of an amount in arrears, the relief offered is 60% of the confirmed duty, which is very big relief. If the same is 50 lakh or less, and 40% other cases. Immunity from prosecution. No prosecution, sir. The same relief of cases under investigation and audit where the duty involved is quantified on or before 30th June 2019. This cut-off date of 30th June 2019 is very, very, very important. And in case of voluntary disclosure, the declarant have to pay full amount of disclosed duty. अब देखिए इस स्कीम के फर्दर स्कीम क्या प्रोवाइड करती है, व्हाट वी गेट आउट ऑफ दिस स्कीम. This scheme further provides, which is good, because once the assessee has paid the tax at the time of, as I told you, for taking stay, that amount facility for adjustment of any deposit of duty already made. Facility for adjustment of any deposit of duty already made. The big relief is the full and final closure of the proceedings in question. Full and final closure of the proceeding in question. The only exception is that, one exception is there. That is in case of voluntary disclosure of liability. There is a provision to reopen a false declaration within a period of 1 year. ये आप kindly note on. But it is, if the government comes to know later on, or designated committee which has accepted your declaration, and on the basis of that acceptance of declaration and issue a certificate by the designated committee. You have made the payment also, and your case has also been closed. But within a period of 1 year, making the declaration, if the department finds that the declaration made by the person was false, now question comes: what is the meaning of false? Definition doesn't suffice. Now, my dear friends, I have written a book on this subject, which is coming in the first week of next month, wherein I specified all the meaning of these word false, and along with the judgments, false declaration, whether arithmetical error is amounts to false declaration. The scheme does not explain this thing. What is false declaration? False mean whether intentionally it is a false. False mean the particular shown is not correct. False mean intentionally it has been done, or intentionally certain things have been concealed. Concealment of certain facts, concealment of certain particulars from making a declaration, whether it amounts to false declaration. So many judgments are there in respect of false declaration. And I've also mentioned there with the judgments, what is the meaning of rectification and the error happened on the face of record, and principle of natural justice. What is the meaning of providing the opportunity? What is opportunity? All these things I don't even explain this statute, but other in judgments we can take the advantage of that. Opportunity should be given. What opportunity? Opportunity means it should be sufficient, reasonable opportunity should be provided. Although one adjournment is given, doesn't matter. But it should have been shown on the face of the record, in the file, in the document, that sir, opportunity was given to the declarant before determining the amount against him, which was higher than the amount shown by the declarant. Therefore, this scheme provides, if anything comes to the knowledge of the designated committee or the department, there is a false declaration was false, but that too within a period of 1 year from making a declaration. It means after the making the declaration, from that date, within a period of 1 year, if declarant does not get any notice from that, then this proceedings becomes final for all the purpose for this act. As this is all online, filing of declaration, giving intimation by the committee online, proceeding under the scheme will be fully automatic. Proceeding under the scheme will be fully automatic. No interaction of the assessee with the department officers. Nowadays, the government is very active, and you see in the income tax also, scrutiny cases are going online. Government wants that minimum interaction with the officer, with the assessee should be there. Minimum involvement of the inspector should be in the cases. Minimum personal hearing of the assessee should be there. Therefore, this scheme provides that proceeding under this scheme will be fully automatic. Further, the proceeding under this scheme shall not treated as a precedent for past and future liabilities. Means one cannot say, sir, under this scheme, this dispute was there, and by paying this amount, this dispute has been settled with the department. Therefore, in respect of other assessee case, the same facts and circumstances of case should be also be accepted by the department. They say no. Proceeding under this scheme shall not treated at all as a precedent for the past and the future liabilities. Further, they say no final decision should be taken without providing an opportunity of personal hearing in case of there is any disagreement with the amount of duty payable shown by the assessee and as calculated by the designated committee. This is also very important to note. The scheme which I said also provide the protection to the officers. Section 135 of the Act says no suit, prosecution, or other legal proceedings shall lie against the central government or any other officer of the central government for anything which is done or intended to be done in good faith. I have not said what is the meaning of good faith. How we can ascertain that he has done this in good faith? In pursuance of this scheme or any rules made therein. No proceeding other than suit shall be commenced against the central government or any officer of the central government for anything done or purported to have been done in pursuance of this scheme or any rules made thereunder without giving the central government of such officer a prior notice of not less than 1 month in writing of the intended proceeding and of the cause thereof, or after the expiration of 3 months from the accrual of this case. My dear friend, you see, principle of natural justice always demand an opportunity to be given to be heard if you are going to take any action against the proceeding. Further, they say, further no proceeding shall be commenced against any officer only on the ground of subsequent detection of an error. Just see, there is a provision for rectification of error if it is pointed out by the declarant or suo motu by the same. If it is not pointed out, neither by the declarant, or nor it has come to the knowledge of the designated committee and it has not been rectified, then they say no proceeding shall be commenced against any officer only on the ground of subsequent deduction of an error in calculating the amount or duty payable by the credit. They say unless there is evidence of misconduct. Now, my dear friends, you tell me what is the meaning of misconduct? How we can find out and prove that there was a misconduct? So protection to the officer has to be given. Otherwise, they feel little hesitant to discharge their duties. Now I take you, my dear friends, certain important issue and question and answer under the scheme provided by the government. And I am sure that after these all questions, the matter will also be further very clear. In case you have any query and question, you kindly just mail. I will reply. I go by the question, अभी देखिए, there may be cases where there are more than one SCN. They say if a SCN covers multiple issues, whether the person can file an application under the scheme for only few issues covered under the NLC. This is very important. You have this type of cases where under one SCN multiple issues are covered, and under those multiple issues declarant feels out of 5 issues, 3 he is comfortable under the law, for 2 he is not comfortable under the law, whether he can keep pending 3 issues to the disposal of the appeal, which declarant say that it has to become in the favor, and rest of 2 issues which he feels is not may not come in his favor, then can he file this declaration only in respect of 2 issues? They say no. No, a person cannot adopt to avail benefit of the scheme in respect of selected matters. He must file declaration in respect of all matters concerning duty, tax liability covered under the SCN. What is the scope of duty tax relief covered under section 120.41B with respect to SCN for late fee and penalty? Only where amount of tax duty in said notice has been paid or is nil. They say if the tax dues has been paid or is nil, then what is the fate? There is a late fee, there is interest, there is a penalty. Section 124, subsection 1, clause B. That says the declarant shall get relief of the entire amount of late fee and penalty. Now, further they say, there are certain issues. What is the scope under scheme when execution order determining the duty of the tax liabilities passed and received prior to 3 June 2019, but the appeals have been filed on or after 1st July 2019. They say such a person shall not be eligible to file a declaration under that scheme. They say, I have been convicted. Question is, I have been convicted for an offence punishable under provision of the indirect tax enactment. Am I eligible for the scheme? If answer is, if the conviction is for same matter and time period for which the declaration is proposed to be filed, then you are not eligible to avail the scheme. Here, question rises to my knowledge. The question is this: I have been issued a SCN, and finally he has taken place on or before 3 June 2019. Am I eligible for the scheme? But the answer, the FAQ given, they say no, you are not eligible as per the provision of section 125 1C. But no practical difficulties are there. As I told you earlier, hearing may have taken place, order may have cut for an order, but order has not been passed due to any reason. There are certain decisions of the High Court and Supreme Court which says that when the courts pass the or kept the hearing final and passed the order kept for order, then the time period in passing the order should not be much. Should not be much. If you say we have taken the final hearing either at the tribunal or High Court, and order was not passed for more than 6 months' time. So these courts have taken the view that order must be passed after completing the hearing with a reasonable time. With a reasonable time. So another question comes, I deal with goods which are, question is, I deal with the goods which are presently covered under central excise and are mentioned in fourth schedule of the Central Excise Act 1944. I want to make a declaration with respect of these excisable goods. As I told you earlier, Central Excise Act 1944, fourth schedule have certain categories of goods in respect of which goods are subject to central excise. You are not eligible to avail the benefit under the scheme. Therefore, when we start making the declaration of taking the benefit under the scheme, we must see the coverage of the statute, central excise, service tax, chapter and the cess, the list of cess I have given. And under the Central Excise Act, we say it does not mean that all the goods which are covered under the Central Excise Act 1944 are covered. They have excluded. They have excluded the amount of duty payable in respect of the goods which have been mentioned under fourth schedule of the Central Excise Act. अब देखिए, further question they said when we file this declaration in SVLDR 1, then we get electronic acknowledgement from the department where you will find a unique number given to the declarant. I have filed a declaration. I have received the acknowledgement online. Now, how will I come to know about the final decision taken by the designated committee on my declaration? I filed declaration. I got acknowledgement from the department. Now, how will I come to know that final decision taken by the designated committee on my declaration? Statute prescribes the time limit. They say within 60 days of filing the declaration, within a period of 60 days from filing the declaration, department will inform electronically about the final decision taken this matter. Whether the amount of duty payable as shown by the declarant in the form 1 is acceptable to the department or not. They will convey their decision within a period of 60 days from the date of filing of the declaration. It is not from the date of getting the acknowledgement. It is not from the date of getting the acknowledgement. It is from the date of declaration. Now, question comes: what is the difference between tax dues and relief? Tax relief. Two words are being used under statute: tax dues and tax relief. What is the meaning? That tax dues is the amount outstanding of duty and tax demanded, and tax relief is the concession which has been given under the scheme. Now next question comes. What is the scope of coverage of critical SCN issue under the scheme? What is the scope of coverage of critical SCN? Any answer is any SCN issued whether main or periodical, where the final year had not taken place on or before 30th June 2019 eligible for the scheme. What happens? I tell you. One SCN issued for specifying a certain issue, then another SCN issue. From time to time, different SCN has been issued covering the different issues. Then say whether main SCN or critical SCN, where final hearing has not been taken place on or before 30th June 2019 or are eligible under this scheme. Here, the question comes whether the department can issue SCN of the same issue for which they have already issued SCN. As per law, department should not issue the SCN of the same issue for which SCN has already been issued. Now, question I had, that I was saying the benefit of JAR certificate. When we get this discharge certificate under section 127, what will be the benefit of the discharge certificate? The discharge certificate which has been issued under the scheme, then what are the benefits available to the declarant on receiving discharge certificate? Every discharge certificate which has been issued under section 127 with respect to the amount payable under this scheme, that shall be conclusive as to the matter and time period stated therein. The issue, the matter, and the period which is covered under this declaration. After getting the discharge certificate, that issue and matter and the period get conclusively closed and settled. And further, the scheme says, after getting the discharge certificate, the declarant shall not be liable to pay any further duty and tax, interest or penalty with respect to the matter and time period covered in the declaration. The department cannot ask from the declarant, sir, कुछ पैसे रह गए थे और दीजिए, interest रह गया था और दीजिए, amount of duty payable was more from you, kindly give us. No. Further, after getting the discharge certificate, the declarant shall not be liable to be prosecuted under the indirect tax enactment with respect to the matter and time period which is covered under the declaration. So that this scheme restricts to the benefit only in respect of the matter and time period covered under the declaration. Only those matters are secure, and declarant is getting immunity from payment and this prosecution from the department. No matter and time period covered by such declaration shall be reopened. As I told you, other benefit is there. When discharge certificate has been issued and received by the declarant, then the matter, the period covered under this declaration shall not be reopened in any other proceeding under the indirect tax enactment. अब ये देखिए my dear friends, the government specifically stating under this scheme at various places, indirect tax enactment. Therefore, the provision of other acts beside this indirect tax enactment are not covered. अब एक क्वेश्चन और राइज होता है, the declarant in appeal and he settled this issue under this scheme. वो say कि can I take input tax credit for any amount paid under the scheme? They say no. But to my knowledge, जो ये इनका एक क्वेश्चन है कि can I take a refund of the amount deposited under the scheme, with the scheme say no. My dear friends, it should be very fair from the government point of view. I had deposited the amount of 2 lakh rupees at the time of getting the stay of filing the appeal. And now I avail this scheme. And under this scheme element, my liability comes to 1 lakh. My dear professional colleagues and friends, to my knowledge, it is unfair on the part of the government. Not refunding back that 1 lakh rupee to the declarant. But they have made such a kind of scheme. They will not give you the refund. But it is my personal views that if somebody goes to the higher court in filing a writ petitions, I'm sure that the court will look into this matter. As you know, in GST matter or under VAT matters, exporters are not getting the refund so easily. And this is my experience. Then in so many VAT matters where the refund is due to the dealer on count of this that he has more input tax credit than the output tax liability. The government is not going to, the department always try to withhold or not processing that fund. Many times we have to go to the High Court in petition to get the refund. In GST matter also, you see, very rarely exporters are getting refund online. And it is very interesting matter in GST. You see, government is restricting my amount of transform one, which was available of the credit of the input tax credit to be carried forward into the GST regime from the previous regime. If you are failed to file trans one form, you are not able to get the credit of that tax. And moreover, the government prescribed the time limit also. If somebody omit or could not file the trans one form within the time prescribed, then under GST laws, he is not able to get the credit of that input which was available to him as on 30th June 2017. Many cases, I know, in many different high courts of the state, the matters went in writ petition, praying, "Sir, allow us this credit because this is the amount which is legitimately due to me." You see, in respect of the taxes, Constitution of India provides, and Honorable Supreme Court also held, that government must take the legitimated due tax from the cessee. Legitimated due tax which are due under the provision of the Act or determined according to the provision of the scheme. Since he failed to file certain declaration within the time prescribed, does it mean that valuable right of the tax which he has paid and entitled under the law for credit should be taken away from the assessee. It is unfair. Therefore, in all cases where Trans 1 form was not filed and credit of the duty which was due to the assessee, High Court allowed the appeals and directed the GSTN authorities to kindly allow them to file this Trans 1. But according to me, they should extend the date for filing that. Everybody cannot go to the High Court. And it is highly unfair. If my amount is there, I forget to collect it. Doesn't mean the government will forfeit that amount. Similar manner, they see the intention of the legislation scheme. If my actual amount has been paid, and according to the scheme, I'm willing to pay that amount, and government is entitled to adjust against the paid deposit amount, so they adjust it and give me back the actual amount which I paid. This provision, I feel, my personal view, is unfair. Further, they say, if some to wrong calculation or some under misconception or some misunderstanding in respect of the appeals, SCN pending, which may not be otherwise allowed to be covered under the scheme, but according to the declarant and his professional advice, it is covered, but government says it is not covered. And the declarant has already paid the amount under the declaration. They say that amount shall, under any circumstances, not be refunded back. But this act nowhere states where they will adjust this amount. If you are not refunding back to the assessee, at least allow him to adjust this amount somewhere else. Now, there may be cases where some intimation from the audit department is received. Does intimation for audit received by the taxpayer prior to 30th June 2019 and audit party seeking certain details from the declarant? Does intimation for audit received by the taxpayer prior to 30th June 2019 seeking details qualify for the scheme? They say no. If the tax duty payable has not been quantified as on 30th June 2019, the taxpayer is not eligible to make a declaration regarding this audit under the scheme. Reason being simple reason, because audit people has not quantified his amount of duty payable. When there is no amount quantified or duty payable before 30th June, on what amount the declarant will file the declaration, and how he will get the relief of which amount? The amount is not quantified. Therefore, when audit people have started making inquiry, issue a notice, and the amount is not quantified, then declaration cannot be filed. Another case, assessee received a intimation for audit, inquiry, or investigation on or before 30th June 2019. Then assessee asked, can I make a not declaration under this scheme? They can say, can I make a voluntary disclosure of my liability? Since amnesty regarding voluntary disclosure is also available under this scheme, they said, if I received intimation of audit or inquiry or investigation Can I voluntarily disclose my liability? Say no. If you have received any intimation for audit, inquiry, investigation, you cannot voluntarily declare your liability in the scheme. So this is also important question. If I file a declaration under the scheme, will it be assumed that I have admitted to the position and agree with the allegation made in show cause notice? A department issue a show cause notice and made a certain allegation, and there is a demand of duties. Does it mean if I go in the scheme, file declaration, paid the amount calculated, but the amount due from me as per the scheme, and designated authority also agree with the amount and discharge certificate issue? That does it mean the allegations which are imposed under the show cause notice against me are get confirmed? They say no. No. There is no question of allegation mentioned in the notice getting confirmed because there is no adjudication on this issue. There are no order has been passed on the issue. Therefore, the allegation imposed on the declarant under the show cause notice does not get confirmed. They say no. A declaration under scheme will not be a basis for assuming that the declarant has admitted the position and no fresh notice will be issued merely on that basis. Next, they say with respect to penalty, late fee matter, whether only SCN for late fee or penalty are covered under this scheme or also such cases under appellate proceedings. They say the scheme is applicable to any SCN for penalty, late fee, irrespective of whether it is under adjudication or appeal. Therefore, this scheme is applicable for late fee or penalty, whether they are under appeal. This is a very important issue. Settlement Commission. I have made an application to the Settlement Commission for settlement of my dues and cases. And that application is pending with the Settlement Commission. However, these proceedings abated due to rejection of the application by the Settlement Commission or other reason, and the case went back to the adjudicating authority for further action. First, I moved my application for settlement of my duty to the Settlement Commission. And due to any reason, the Settlement Commission had sent back those my file to the adjudicating authority for further action. They say, can I avail this scheme? They say yes. A declaration under the scheme can be made for a case which is no longer with the Settlement Commission if further conditions are satisfied. They say you can make the declaration only in respect of the issue and cases which are not subject matter of the Settlement Commission. Now they say, there may be certain circumstances where the declarant had moved under writ petition, challenging the order of the settlement commission. They say, can I make a declaration under the scheme with respect of this case? Settlement commission has passed the order, but I moved a writ petition against that order. They say, yes, a declaration can be filed under the scheme if no application is pending before the settlement commission and the writ petition has not been heard finally on or before 30th June 2019. And with respect to cases under inquiry, investigation, or audit, which is meant by written communication, qualifying the amount. When written communication is sent by the department, this written communication will include a letter intimating a duty, tax demanded, or duty, tax liability admitted by the person during inquiry, investigation, or audit and audit report. They say, I have already paid duty tax by utilizing the input tax credit and the matter is under dispute. Will this duty tax already paid through input tax credit be adjusted against my duty liability under the scheme? That is yes. In such cases, duty tax already paid through input tax credit already shall be adjusted by the designated authority at the time of decision of final duty payable under the scheme. But if that input tax credit has not been adjusted earlier, and now you want to adjust this input tax credit against the determination of the final amount payable by the authority, now you cannot adjust that. You have to pay it in cash. You will find other cases where a declarant is in disagreement of the estimate by the designated committee. Declarants say, I don't agree with the amount determined by the designated committee. So then what will be the position? Will say, then designated committee, as I told you earlier, will provide an opportunity and give a hearing to the declarant. A date of personal hearing will be intimated along with the estimate issued by the designated authority in form. This intimation, when we file declaration, is SVLDR 1 form, and intimation will be given SVLDR 2, and written submission can be made. Then personal hearing can also be waived, but in any case, one adjournment of the personal hearing can also be sought. This adjournment can be sought by filing form SVLDRS2A. These all forms are available at the portal of the CBIC gst.government.in, and these you will get the notice online, move adjournment in STL form 2A, all online electronic. Then question comes, I received a communication of the amount payable in SVLDR 3. Then go say how I can make the payment. I filed declaration form 1, 2 may they have admitted, and 2A you have given the for adjournment. If finally amount becomes payable, which is informed to you electronic by the department online in form SVLDRS3. Then the question comes, how I will make the payment of this duty? Then the answer is, a challan can be generated. Challan can be generated by a link provided in form SVLDR S3 issued by the department. Once that challan is generated, then payment against the same can be made by the taxpayer. Now the question comes, the appeals which we are under obligation to withdraw if we want to avail the benefit of this scheme. Then they say, how I will intimate the department board about withdrawal of appeal by me. Appeals, I told you earlier, can be withdrawn only which are pending the High Court or the Supreme Court. Other appeals at the level of the tribunal are deemed to be withdrawn after you file this declaration. So then they say, how do I intimate the department about withdrawal of my of appeal by me? They have provided the provision. They say form SVLDR S3 provides a document upload facility for furnished proof of withdrawal of appeal. Then you go on site and take down this form SVLDRS3 and upload your document giving the proof that you have withdrawn the appeal in the High Court, the Supreme Court. Now, they say whether the cases which are covered under Sunmet credit covered under the scheme. They say yes. They are included unless there is a very specific exclusion. A big question comes, everything has gone through. I filed the declaration, designated committee accept my declaration, amount of duty payable is ascertained and informed to me, and which I have to pay it with a specific time. In case I don't pay it, then what will happen? What happens if I don't make the payment of the amount which is specified in the statement within 30 days of the issue? They say the declaration shall be treated as lapsed and benefit of the scheme will no longer be available to the scheme. Now another question comes, the amount quantified under any inquiry, investigation or audit or on before 30th June 2019 gets modified due to any reason. Will I still be eligible to file the declaration in the scheme? There are only such cases of inquiry, investigation, audit are covered under the scheme where tax duty, tax demanded has worked out on or before 30th June 2019 and SCN has not been issued. This was all about the scheme in detail, and thank you very much, my dear professional colleagues and friends. In case you have any query and questions, kindly mail to Mr. C.A. Raj Chawla ji or WhatsApp or to C.A. Raj Chawla ji. I am thankful to him that he is providing me an opportunity today to discuss the issue of the scheme. So thank you very much. सारी कवर कर देगा, चीज छोड़ी नहीं सर. अब आप देखिए क्या है. मैं इसमें कहा बार बता देना कि आवाज सही आ रही नहीं आ रही है. सॉरी.
Thank you, C.R.K. Bhalla ji, for a wonderful deliberation on this scheme. And friends, C.R.K. Bhalla ji has prepared this PPT, which we have already provided to all of you. If you have not received this PPT, we can provide you. Also, this video, which will be generated after 1 hour, we will provide you all. And if you have any query, you can please note down his mobile number, or you can use our WhatsApp group also for your query. And I will request Mr. Bhalla to please reply all the queries raised by our members. So thank you, friends. Thank you very much. Thank you.